Good afternoon. I'm John Murdy.
And I'm Chris Williams.
So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the last, it'll be our 10th year together doing Halloween Horror Nights since Chris and I brought it back in 2006. This year, so on Twitter I asked our fans what their 5 favorite mazes at Horror Nights have been since 2006. And we're going to take you behind the scenes of those 5 mazes. And they are Texas Chainsaw Massacre, An American Werewolf in London, AVP, Alien vs. Predator, Insidious, and Halloween, The Life and Crimes of Michael Myers.
Hey, you know, these are some of your favorites, but I gotta be honest with you, there's some of mine, and I know there's some of John's as well. So we're all thinking the same, essentially, which is great.
So we're going to start, we'll do this chronologically. We're going to start with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This maze actually was featured, or this property at Horror Nights 3 different times, 2007, 2008, and I have to remember my taglines. I think it was it back in business? Back in business? Big in business?
I believe so,
I think that was the first 2, and then the third one was called The Saw is the Law.
Correct.
So Chris, if you wouldn't mind, you know, we don't do a lot of concept art for Horror Nights, but
No,
we did for this.
we don't, and back in 2007, when we took the approach of dealing with film IPs and we needed to actually present to the filmmakers actually what we were looking at doing, actually. So these were done in 2007 by Fred Andrews, actually, concept artist.
And I think they were really intended to, like, more than anything, set like the mood and the tone of what we were going for. Because back in 2007, that was the year Chris and I got to implement our vision for Horror Nights, which was to take the movies that you guys all love and bring them to life movie quality. But in order to do that, we had to go to New York and pitch this to New Line Cinema, which owned the rights at the time to Freddy, Nightmare on Elm Street, Jason, Friday the 13th, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they were, you know, kind of rather reluctant to give up those rights. They were very protective of them. So the pitch went something like this: we're the studio that invented the horror movie, right? We are going to do this unlike anybody's ever done it before. We're going to do it movie quality so that you feel like you got up out of your seat, step through the movie screen, and now you're living a horror movie. And it all started with this maze.
I got for you that were around in 2007, the concept on the left is Pooh Boy in that bathroom sequence that we have in there. I don't know if any of you guys remember that.
I still have clothes that smell like Pooh Boy. We retired this scent a couple of years after this maze because when we pulled the walls out that we used for Texas Chainsaw Massacre the next year, it still smelled like poo. But when talking about creating movie quality, this is what I'm talking about, and this is Chris's art direction for the dining room scene from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And you know, for here, we do a lot of stills. Essentially, we're taking the film and we're freeze framing it and pulling all this information that we can in respect to, even down to what type of wallpaper they were using back in the 70s, actually. But
you ordered, as I remember, you actually ordered vintage wallpaper.
We have done that before, and we did this for this room in the past. There's a company out of New York that actually still stocks old vintage wallpaper. There's only so much.
I could have taken it out of my parents' house.
We're doing so small rooms that we're able to acquire some of this, but you know, even within the props, you can kind of see what we're doing here essentially. But within our budget still, it's still trying to maintain movie quality. So I'll tell you, even the antlers, you know, I called my father and said, hey, can you send me a box of those antlers that you found over the years? And to the point of where some of these chairs were actually on Western Street within some of the facades that we had removed, the armchair. So even the credenza in the back, that was a piece that had been out at War of the Worlds. And over the years of rain and sun bleach,
natural aging, I guess.
Yeah, and I kind of kept my eye on it, and then we were able to remove that and swap that out with another piece. But I got to tell you, most of our props is led by Tony Lindis, and who's in the audience?
Tony here today, Tony Lindis.
Oh yeah,
Tony is our prop master for the Halloween Horror Nights. He directs the entire crew that does all the props and dresses for the attraction. This is another key image to me that when I saw this, I thought, okay, we've nailed what a movie looks like. And in particular, one of the weird challenges with Texas was the chainsaw itself. And you had a cool idea for how we did this.
You know, looking in the DVD, and I honestly can't remember, it was in Texas Chainsaw, and it was a remake, and it was like beyond a tri-fold open DVD cover, it just kind of kept opening up, and it was a big saw blade. And I thought, wow, look at that! I think that we can be able to work with this image and essentially put it on essentially a piece of PVC, essentially, and cut it out to create our saw blades, actually, which is a graphic element.
And there was one particular effect that we did at Texas Chainsaw Massacre where we wanted to make it look like Leatherface was literally plunging the chainsaw into this guy's chest, and you could see it going into him. And again, Chris had a really cool idea for how to do this, because you think about these actors, any actor in Horror Nights or scare actor, whatever we direct them to do, they're going to do it about 60,000 times during the course of just 1 year. So you can't just, you know, keep poking the guy in the chest over and over again 60,000 times. It would hurt. So you came up with a brilliant idea from rodeos.
Well, yes. And, you know, growing up out on the ranch, and what this individual is wearing, here's our issue. We got a guy with a chainsaw, and the chainsaw actually is collapsible, like one of those little prop knives that you would see from a magic store. You know, you've heard John talk about magic illusions, and that's where we're going in heading. So basically, in 2007, this is one of the first ones we did, essentially with a retractable blade that goes within the housing of the chainsaw. Now, we've got another issue. We're going to be doing this 60,000 times and, you know, basically potentially bruising this individual. So what we did is bought a bull rider's vest, rotated it around. He's wearing it backwards, so it's up high. We know that he would be able to take the impact of that because of, you know, if you guys ever watch bull riding, what those bulls can do if they get a direct impact on you. So that's how we dealt with that issue.
If you ever watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they're always going, Leatherface, go to your room. And so Chris and I started talking, and we're like, where is his room? Because you never really see it, especially in the original film. So this was an original idea that we put into the maze. This was a picture we took when we were still building the set. And we called it Leatherface's Happy Place. So if he had a room, what would be in it? And you see all these, you know, creepy clown pictures and toys. And I'm going to zoom in on this one. We made him a friend. It was like the United Colors of Bennington Corpse, you know. He's got like every race, you know, stitched together. He's got a little, you know, T-shirt that Tony's crew made that says best friend or best buddy. And we figured, you know, when he was up in his room, he was hanging out playing with this guy. One of my favorite stories from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so we had this bathtub scene. And we had this performer, he was in the bathtub with all these corpses, and he was wearing a skinned face. And we were into the run. I mean, I think we were at least 2 or 3 weeks into the run, and the performer who played this role came up to Chris and I, and he goes, am I supposed to see? And we were like, yes, you're supposed to see. Why? He's like, well, my mask doesn't have any eye holes. So he had actually performed like 2-3 weeks without being able to see anything. I'm not even sure how he scared people, but true story from Horror Nights. So then just wrap up Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is the picture. This is Toby Hooper, who of course directed the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I didn't even know that Toby came to the event that year, but I started seeing these pictures online, and you see Toby in all these different scenes taking pictures of our maze. And I knew that that was the moment that we had arrived, and Horror Nights was going to be here to stay.